Hello, this is going to be an explanation of a New Mexico Class A CDL pre-trip, a combination vehicle using a fifth wheel. We're going to be using the checklist provided from the Section 11M out of the CDL driver's manual. Begin with the front of the vehicle and the engine area. I'm going to start with my lenses. I have 3 ID lenses and 2 clearance lenses on top that are properly mounted and secure, not bent, damaged, or broken. They're clear in color with amber LEDs. I have 2 side marker lenses on the side of my headlight assemblies that are all properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged, and they're amber in color. I also have my 2 headlight lenses that are properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged, and they are clear in color. I would go ahead and look underneath for any fluid leaks, and I would verify that my vehicle is not leaning left to right or front to back. I'm going to open the hood to begin checking my fluid levels. I'm going to begin with the coolant reservoir. My coolant reservoir is properly mounted and secure. It's not bent, broken, or damaged. The cap is on tight. I do have an adequate level, and there are no leaks. Checking my power steering fluid reservoir. It is also properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, damaged, or broken. The cap is on tight. It is at an adequate level, and there are no leaks. My engine oil fill neck is properly mounted and secure. It's not bent, broken, or damaged. The cap is on tight. I would check the adequate level by pulling the dipstick, wiping it clean, reinserting it, checking for an adequate level, looking for no discoloration or contamination, and there are no leaks. Next on my list is fluid and air leaks. I would check the side of my engine and the ground for any fluid leaks, and I would listen at all my air lines and all my air components for any air leaks. Steering system. I would begin with my steering gearbox. My steering gearbox is properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, damaged, or broken. There are no leaks, and all the hardware is in place. All the lines going to my gearbox are properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged. There's no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and they're also not leaking. I would check my 6-piece steering linkage from the gearbox to the wheel. It's all properly mounted and secure, not cracked, damaged, or broken. All connecting rods, links, bushings, and sockets are in place. They're not worn or damaged, and all the hardware is in place. There's no missing nuts or bolts. Verifying also that all my castle nuts and cotter pins are in place. Next, I'm going to go to my steering axle, the tires. I would check both sides of my tire for condition, no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. I would look for an even wear pattern, and I would check the tread depth. With a tread depth gauge, making sure that I have no less than 4/32 of an inch on my steering tire. The rest of my tires have no less than 2/32 of an inch. I would verify that I have a metal valve stem and a metal cap that's not damaged or missing, and I would use an air gauge to check the inflation to the manufacturer's specification, which is printed on the tire. Checking my rim on both sides, making sure that it's properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged. There's no illegal wells, and all my stud holes are not elongated. Checking my lugs, making sure I have no missing lug nuts or studs. They're all tight. I would look for signs of running rust, which is an indication of looseness. If they are loose, then I would use a lug wrench or a torque wrench to tighten them. Next, I would go to my suspension. My spring mount, my springs, my U-bolts, and my shackle. They're all properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged. My U-bolts are secured to the axle with spacers, and they're not sheared off on the bottom, and my springs are not shifted. Also verifying that my shock absorber is properly mounted and secure both on the top and the bottom. It's not bent, broken, or damaged, and there are no leaks. Moving to my brake line, or brake hose, it is properly mounted and secured both ends. There are no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and it's not leaking. Brake contaminants. I would check my brake shoes to make sure that they're properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged. They're not worn dangerously thin. They're at least 1/4 of an inch thick, and there is no contamination such as oil or grease. My brake drums are properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged. There are no illegal wells, and they are also free of any contamination such as oil or grease. Next, I'm going to move to the side of my vehicle. Lenses and reflectors. I have a lens and reflector on the side of my tractor. It's properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged. It's clear in color with amber LEDs. I have 2 lenses and reflectors on the top of my trailer. They're properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged, and they're amber in color. I have the one lens and reflector in the middle of my trailer for the marker light. It is properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged, amber in color. I have two lenses and reflectors on the rear. The ABS lens and reflector is properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged. It is amber in color. And my rear marker lens and reflector is properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged, and it is red in color. My traffic monitoring devices. I'm going to verify that my mirror brackets are properly mounted and secure. They're not bent, broken, or damaged. They're secure. Also verifying that the glass, my convex glass on this mirror has no cracks or chips and it's clean. And both my flat and convex glass here are properly mounted and secure with no cracks, and they are also clean. My battery, I would check that my battery cover is properly mounted and secure. It's not damaged or missing. Underneath, I would check all my batteries to make sure that they're properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged. They're not leaking. There are no signs of corrosion or arcing. And I would also verify that all my cables are tight. They're not cracked or worn. They're properly mounted and secure. My fuel tank and DEF tank. My DEF tank is properly mounted and secure to the frame. It is not bent, damaged, or broken. The cap is on tight, and I would verify that there are no leaks underneath. My fuel tank is properly mounted and secure with two mounting straps to the frame. The mounting straps are not bent, damaged, or broken. I'll also verify that my cap is on tight with a rubber seal and a retaining chain. And once again, I would check underneath for any fluid leaks. For my frame, I'll check the frame here in the engine compartment, make sure it's properly mounted and secure. It's not bent, broken, or damaged. There are no illegal wells. I'll check the frame at the rear of my tractor and cross members, ensuring that they're properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged, with no illegal wells. I'll check my trailer frame all the way down and cross members underneath, making sure that they're all properly mounted and secure, they're not bent, broken, or damaged, there's no illegal wells, and I'll check the cargo floor for any damage such as holes or cracks. At the rear of my trailer on the tandem axle, I would check my frame and cross members, making sure that they're also properly mounted and secure, not cracked, damaged, or broken, no illegal wells. And I would verify that my sliding tandem is locked in place with the two pins out and the release handle or button in the lock position. On my combination vehicle only, my air and electric line. Checking my electric line, making sure that my electric line is properly latched to the tractor. There are no abrasions or cuts and no exposed wires, and it's properly latched to the trailer. Verifying that my service blue and my emergency red lines are properly connected to the trailer. There are no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, no audible leaks. It's properly connected to the trailer with glad hands. The glad hands are locked in place with rubber seals or grommets. And also, I hear no audible leaks. Verifying that I have adequate space between all my lines and the tractor frame. My fifth wheel skid plate. My fifth wheel skid plate is properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged, and it is properly lubricated. My kingpin is properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged. The apron plate is properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged, and there's no gap between my apron plate and my fifth wheel skid plate. Locking and safety devices. I would verify that the locking jaws are wrapped around the shank of the kingpin. My fifth wheel release handle is in the lock position, and my sliding fifth wheel is locked in place with the pins out. Landing gear and clearance. Verify that my landing gear support frame is properly mounted and secure. It's not bent, broken, or damaged. My landing gear leg is in the full up position, and my raise and lower handle is in the stow position. And I do have adequate clearance between the tractor frame and the landing gear. Reflective tape. I do have DOT required reflective tape along the side of my trailer, minimum of 50%. It's not ripped or torn or damaged in any way. I also have DOT reflective tape on the top and bottom of the door, as well as on the bumper. Lenses and reflectors. I have my 3 ID and 2 clearance lenses and reflectors on top. They're all properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged, red in color. And I have my 4 taillight lenses and reflectors, properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged, red in color. But also verify that my license plate lens and reflector is properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or damaged, and it is clear in color. This concludes my pre-trip. I would check the right side of my trailer the same way we did the left side of my trailer.